Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Dark Powerrr, where we talk about everything that happens on AEW Elevation, Dark, and NWA Powerrr. Now, this was a huge week of news in wrestling in general. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I do have my shirt. I was there live for Rampage, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience, to say the least. For those of you who know, I'm a huge CM Punk fan. He is probably a solid 10% of the reason why I moved to Chicago. Maybe. I mean, obviously, the whole law school thing and, wanting to get out of New York and just see a different city and experience new things factored into it, of course. But I could have picked anywhere, right? But a lot of my love for Punk is due to what he stands for and what he has fought for. It's part of his I would say that his willingness to go against the grain is part of the reason why I stopped watching WWE. How they treat their employees, their independent contractors, their staff, just not something that sits well with me, particularly during the pandemic, everything that we saw that happened. But that's not what we are here to talk about. We are here to talk about AEW Dark Elevation and NWA Powerrr. Now, I had the benefit this week of being able to watch Dark live because they taped it before Rampage. So the matches are some I was able to experience in a different way than I would normally watching it on YouTube. So let's talk about Elevation. But right before we do, guys, remember, hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe. It allows us to do all of the great things that we do for all of you. So there were two matches that stood out to me on Elevation, and they bookended the show quite well. The first match, which was Dante Martin taking on Anthony Bowens, and then our main event, which is Death Triangle taking on three members of the Dark Order in Alan Angels, Evil Uno, and Colt Cabana. Now, also, I was able to go to Warrior Wrestling this weekend, where we sponsored Kylie Ray taking on Thunder Rosa, defending the Warrior Women's Championship. And we got to see Dante Martin there, and I've seen him before at a previous Warrior show, but I cannot state enough how incredibly talented he is. He and his brother, and we're waiting to get Darius back from injury, but Dante is taking the ball and running with it. And it's interesting because last week I compared what the two situations of what Bowens has to do and what Dante is doing. And I also brought up what Max Caster did when Bowens was out with an injury. And it's kind of interesting because this week we now see those two guys in a match against each other, Bowens and Dante. And they're both still in positions where they have to take advantage of the fact that their normal partner is not there. And 100% of the shine, 100% of the spotlight is on them. Dante has shown that he has the ability to do that. Bowens is demonstrating that maybe he does too. This is a really good match. 9 minutes, 6 seconds. Dante is able to put away Bowens, as I kind of expected he should. Very, very good match. Watch it if you guys get a chance. That's probably that's probably the match of the night for Elevation. But the main event was an incredible match too, and this is where Death Triangle takes on Uno, Angels, and Colt Cabana. Good match. Liked it. I liked the idea of faces versus tweeners. I liked Andrade El Idolo being ringside in the crowd, bought a ticket with Chavo. Good way to continue the feud between Pac and Andrade. I really am interested to know why they haven't really touched yet. That's something that are they waiting to do the brawl? Are they gearing us up for that? Is that kind of what we're looking at here? Is it a we want to We want to just keep teasing these two guys facing off against each other and coming into contact so that when it does happen, we're just that much better for it. That feud is that much better for it. So this was a good match here. And I got to say, Angels is somebody who can take a beating and get a reaction out of a crowd, and more power to him because of that. He's going to be, I think, after Silver and Uno, I think he's going to be one of the big breakout stars of the Dark Order, with Grayson as well. Grayson is in there. Like, almost every one of these guys is incredible. So let's talk about Dark itself. There were a few matches that were really good here. I liked where was it? Yeah, the Varsity Blondes tag match. That one was good. Ren Jones and Braden Lee that they took on. The Statlander match, I wasn't too fond of, but I'm not that high on Chris Statlander compared to other people. I know that they're positioning her well. I know that they're positioning her to be a big babyface challenger for Britt Baker, but I don't know. Statlander doesn't really do it for me in that sense. Meanwhile, Thunder Rosa, incredible talent, taking on Heather Reckless, and that was a good match there as well. I felt bad for Kat and Sean Dean. I think I was the only person screaming out, "Hit him with the deal" in that arena, but he got hit with something else when he took on Powerhouse Hobbs, and Hobbs absolutely wrecked him. But yeah, a good episode of AEW Dark. Nothing too crazy there. Definitely, I think that Dante Martin and Bowens and the main event of Elevation shined more than some of the matches on Dark. So definitely get a chance to check those out if you have the time. Now this week on NWA Powerrr, there weren't any matches. It was just recaps and promos. We do know that James Storm is coming back to challenge Chris Adonis for the NWA national title. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because the way that they promoted the match makes absolutely no sense. It's one of the missteps that the NWA has done in promoting this pay-per-view, which for the most part they've done all right. They've done a pretty good job of promoting it, but this move made no sense. So we know that he's taking on our national champion, which is Chris Adonis. Okay. But we know that Chris Adonis is a heel. Okay. So how do they remind us how good James Storm is and why he is a credible threat to Chris Adonis and Chris Adonis's NWA National Championship? By showing us the brutal heel match of James Storm versus a wounded Colt Cabana, and how James Storm got the national title many, many moons ago. It's jarring, because why am I supposed to why do you want me to root for James Storm to beat the heel of Chris Adonis when you're showing me him be an absolute asshole to Colt Cabana, kicking Colt Cabana when he's down, knocking out the Colt Cabana's cane that he was using because Colt Cabana was doing an injury angle at the time, attacking him, beating up his ankle. Colt Cabana looks absolutely wrecked in this match, trying to fight with basically one leg against James Storm. And meanwhile, NWA is like, hey, isn't this great? Don't you want to root for James Storm against Chris Adonis? I want Chris Adonis to win now. I'm like, James Storm's an asshole. I know Chris Adonis is an asshole, but at least, I didn't get reminded blatantly right now of Chris Adonis being an asshole. They just reminded me that James Storm is a horrible human being and I should not root for this person. So that seemed a little weird, especially because it was what starts off the promo video or episode of Powerrr. So let's talk about NWA and Powerrr. We'll start with that, and I'll give you my predictions for the show. Now, we do have some tournament matches here to determine who will be the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champions. They're bringing back the women's tag team titles. And we have Renee Michelle and Sahara 7 taking on the Hex of Allison Kay and Marty Bell. I'll save us some time here. I think it's going to be the Hex and Allison Kay and Marty Bell who pick up the win here. No slight to Renee Michelle or Sahara 7. And then in our second first-round match, we have Kylan King and Red Velvet taking on the Free Babes of Haley J, Jazzy Yang, and Miranda Gordy. I think it's also going to be the name brand talent here that picks up the win of Kylan King and Red Velvet. That leads us to our, I believe, I think this is the second round match on. This is an easy way to find out. The second round match, I think, is on the same night. It should be. I mean, it would make sense for it to be on the same night as opposed to having the women duke it out on Empowerrr and then having them face off for the title on the Everybody show. No, it is definitely on Empowerrr. I was about to say. So the Hex for my predictions, I say the Hex are taking on Kylan King and Red Velvet, and I think that Allison Kay and Marty Bell pick up the win here. I think it'd be kind of cool if they had some kind of interference with Kylan King and Red Velvet. Some AEW people who pop up, a certain, somebody who wants to check on a dental plan. I don't know, just it'd be kind of interesting, especially because this whole Forbidden Door thing has been knocked down when it comes to the NWA. Speaking of which, we have a three-way match here. We have at Empowerrr, we have Chica Tormenta from AAA facing Diamante, AEW, and Kylie Ray versus of NWA. I'm going to go with Kylie Ray picking up the win because she's the NWA talent. I could also see a world where Chica Tormenta picks up the win as well to give AAA AAA talent a win. That would also make sense. I think Diamante is relatively expendable when it comes to this match and is maybe just there to take the pin, which is fine. Sometimes that's what you got to do. We have a Invitational Cup Gauntlet match that will determine the challenger for the NWA Women's Championship for the next night, the 73rd anniversary show. And here we have Bianca Corelli versus Debbie Malenko versus Lady Frost versus Jamie Senegal versus Genocide versus Kiera Hogan versus Masha Slamovich, Tootie Lynn, and Thunder Kitty. There are a lot of names here that I don't know, but there are some names that I do know. And that's where I'm going to err on the side of caution and pick one of them. I think we have two options to go with here. We can go with Kiera Hogan, or we can go with Chelsea Green. I think it's a safer bet to go with Chelsea Green. She is a little bit more of a name brand star. She is definitely somebody who is willing to work multiple promotions. Not that I think that she would beat the winner of the main event, which I think is kind of obvious who the winner of the main event is going to be. But it is somebody who helps strengthen a bond between NWA and Ring of Honor, which means indirectly a bond between ROH and AEW. And that's really what's important here. So I'm going to go with Chelsea Green picking up the win there. We have the Impact Knockouts Championship on the line, and I'm sure that Chris and Ness have talked maybe a little bit about this on not Fusion of Honor, I'm thinking just because I said Ness, on Blunt Impact, of how Mickie James showed up to issue the challenge for Empowerrr, how Melina is the opponent for Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna wins this match. I don't think they're taking the Impact title off of Deonna for Melina, first off of all people, and second off for at an NWA show. It just doesn't feel right. But again, I love the synergy. The synergy has always been something that we've talked about here on Dark Powerrr, and really, really like the fact that we are getting this match. Which leads me to our main event, Camille taking on Leila Hirsch. I think it's safe to assume that Camille is going to get the win. But what I like about this match is the potential. Leila Hirsch is a really good talent, and there's a lot on the line here. Leila Hirsch has the ability to get a bigger spotlight on herself. She also has the ability to showcase what she can do when it comes to being a ring general. Because as good as Camille may be, it's weird to say Leila Hirsch is probably the more experienced out of the two. On top of that, Camille doesn't really know how to work a match. If you notice, most of her good matches, or great matches, have been against quality talents in the form of Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb. Those are women who know how to lead a match. And Leila Hirsch, not tonight, but this weekend, will get the opportunity to show that she is also somebody who knows how to lead a match. And that's really important, not for this match in particular, but for Tony Khan to be able to have faith and trust in Leila Hirsch for down the road. So this match has a lot of important things going for it, and I think it's going to be a good one. I think probably Deonna Molina's is the better quality match, but for career-wise, trajectory, I think this match has a lot more potential to help the participants than Deonna versus Molina. So that takes us to our 73rd anniversary show. This is the big one, right? Race to the Chase. I mean, the other ones are the Chase as well, but this is kind of really what a lot of the focus has been on. And I got to say, they've done a pretty good job of making Empowerrr feel like a must-watch compared to the 73rd anniversary. And as much as I want to say that they've done as good a job, there is a little bit more juice when you have the world's oldest and most, well, historically prestigious world championship on the card. So let's break down this 73rd anniversary show. We have Camille or Leila Hirsch versus the Gauntlet winner. So I think it's going to be Camille versus Chelsea Green. Camille picks up the win again, but we're doing more to kind of show the dominance of Camille, to have her win 2 matches back-to-back. No rest, or very little rest. She's going to be put through a little bit of a ringer to show what she can do. And that's also going back to what I was saying about what that match of Camille versus Leila means trajectory-wise. We also have Chris Adonis taking on James Storm for the NWA National Championship. I kind of given my thoughts about that. I'm kind of rooting more for Adonis than for James Storm in this moment. We have Aaron Stevens and JR Kratos defending the tag titles against La Rebellion, Bestia 666, and Mecha Wolf 450. I think it'd be kind of interesting if La Rebellion won, but a part of me errs on the side of caution and says that Aaron Stevens and JR Kratos are going to retain their tag titles. We have a 6-man tag match where Tyrus the Masked Man and Jordan Clearwater take on DePope and The End, Odinson Pero. This is a feud that's kind of been building between Tyrus and Pope for a while. It's not been the best. I can go on and on about how I feel about Tyrus, but either way, this was actually a little bit difficult to pick, but I'm going to go with Pope's team. We get a nice feel-good moment as part of the pay-per-view. We have a 12-man battle royal to determine the number 1 contender to the NWA National Championship. I don't think we have any of the announced participants. It's just going to be a TBD kind of thing. So I don't know. We'll see who wins that one. I'm not gonna pick anybody for that one just because the universe of choices is rather large. And we have Mickie James versus Kylie Rae in what could arguably be match of the night. I have a lot of expectations for this match. Mickie James is somebody who is a time-honored talent, and I think we all know how I feel about Kylie Rae and her talents. Freelance is home after all. So this one is getting my nod for match of the night. I think that Kylie picks up the win. I think Mickie knows her role should be to put over the younger talent. And Kylie needs the win because I think that they are going to slowly build towards Kylie versus Camille for that NWA Women's Championship for the Burke. Which leaves us with 2 matches. Tom Latimer versus Crimson versus Tim Storm. What do they call it? Brawl in the Lou. Yeah, this is Tom Latimer picks up the win. I don't think there's really that big of an issue here, that much juice behind this one. Tim Storm could get the win. I think Crimson is probably the guy who has the least shot of picking up the win on this one. And that leaves us with the main event. What can be said about this match? What can be said about this feud? I wasn't that big on it. I think as you guys know, I was not that big of a Trevor Murdoch fan of him as a face, of him as the guy they were going to push. He has slowly won me over. He has the babyface promo that he cut after he lost, I think it was When Our Shadows Fall. That was very well done. Him losing again to Aldis, Kind of expect that. It was basically a house show. He's now putting his career on the line against the dealer. You got to give Nick something if you're going to try to get another match out of him if he's already beaten you. I'm torn on this one because on the one hand, it feels set for Trevor to win. On the other hand, Trevor is a little bit older. I think he's in his 40s. It would not surprise me if he lost and was calling it a career. Like, this is how he was going to retire, was wrestling in the Chase at the 73rd anniversary. It kind of is a poetic way to end a career in a sense. I'm going to go with Trevor Murdoch beating Nick Aldis to become the new NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. It feels weird to say it, but I got to go with Murdoch because it's a career match. I can't see him leaving just yet, particularly because there aren't that many people that the NWA has. It's a tough bind for them when it comes to having talent. They had people like Ricky Starks. They had people like Eddie Kingston, but the pandemic happened and people got to get paid. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'll go with Trevor Murdoch. I don't think he has to hold the title for a long period of time. We could put the title back on Nick pretty quickly, but I think he needs that moment. I think he does need that moment, and it's kind of funny because Murdoch has done his job. He has gotten me to root for him. He has gotten me to support him. I'm looking forward to this match. I'm looking forward to breaking down everything that happens with both of these two pay-per-views with you guys. I don't know if it's going to be, I doubt it's going to be a roundtable, but I don't know if anybody is going to be joining me on the pay-per-view review. We will see what happens. But guys, remember, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Thank you once again for tuning in. And when we do break it down, I hope all of you will join me as we talk everything that happens on these two pay-per-views. So until next time, guys,